Welcome back, everybody. Well, this is going out on a limb and jumping right on the cliff, isn't it? Yes. So here we are, right on YouTube, answering many, many questions. So I've taken some time to just let's get the basic ones out the way that I get asked repetitively all over and over. First of all, yes, I made notes. First of all, shout out to Mr. Muhammad Mahat. And thank you for the really interesting conversation I had with you. And I'm sorry that I can't partake in what you're offering, but I do respect your feelings. So, friends. And then to Shah Muhammad, I see you often on my profile. And I saw a message there, and you would like to write some poetry. And, well, I can certainly respect that as a writer. Many things inspire me, and so if I serve as a source of inspiration for you, by all means continue communicating with me. Then compliments. Boy, what do I say to all the compliments? I don't think I've ever in my life received that many compliments, and it's on the one side it's incredibly humbling. On the other side, I sit like a stranger in a strange land and watch these words go by and experience, how shall I phrase this? An incredible set of emotions that I can't quite relate to. And it's not that I don't understand the words. Obviously, I understand the words and the emojis and all the symbolism behind them, and really good at research. So, and asking questions. And I appreciate it so much. If any of you were aware of my true journey through life and my emotional journey, which is quite private, you would know what that means to me as restorative comments, and especially from a man towards a woman. So bless you for that. I truly appreciate that. I don't view it as anything other than that, a compliment. So I'm saying thank you for those. It's absolutely wonderful as a woman to be complimented to the extent that I have been. Roses. I love roses, I have to admit. And I have received bouquets, virtual ones, from all over the world, and Turkey leading the pack at this stage. And Turkey holds a special place in my heart because of its art and its people and the roses, definitely the roses. And one of my favorite things in the entire world, which I very, very, very seldom eat, which is Turkish delight. Do I know how to make it? Actually, I do. Do I know how to make the traditional one? Yes, I do. Have I tried? Yes, I have. So that will give you the kind of idea of when I become interested in something, how far I will actually pursue the knowledge to gain the full understanding. Have I ever been to Turkey? No, I haven't. My sister-in-law and her husband has been, and my brother-in-law has been, and I think they've actually been twice, and they've booked to go for a third time. And Trader and Quibus, I hope you meet as much kindness there as what you did on the last one. And they got, I remember her saying to me that at one stage or another, they were meant to meet up with somebody, and that was going to take them to a different location, and they'd missed the connection. And a complete stranger looked at the two of them standing there like two lost souls, took pity on them, and helped them find a cheaper option. And not just a cheaper option, but a more effective option, kept them safe until they could be where they were supposed to be. And basically nursed them. And most of the people that they met in Turkey had exactly the same attitude. So for that, I thank you for keeping part of my family safe. So guys, Turkey, you're up. So back to the questions. Sure, there's so many, but the basic ones is, who are you? Well, nobody really. That's about the truth of it. I don't represent anybody except myself and my own values. I don't support political platforms. I don't support any particular religious dogma or religious group. I have gathered my threads of wisdom from an enormous amount of sources. Obviously, as a youngster, which I'm not anymore now. Of course, I'm 54 now, and no, I have no problem admitting to my age. I mean, for goodness sake, I mean. So, yes, I'm 54, and I'm just Manda. And when they say, "But now, who are you?" Uh, as a writer, now that's a very complicated question because I'm not one. It's like that phrase, my name is Legion. So I'm so many things, and I am capable of doing many things, and I have done many things quite effectively, in my opinion. Perhaps not in other people's opinions, but I have learned, and I've learned an awful lot of skills. But in the end, if you had to put it all back down to one word, it'll just be that I'm Manda. My surname, my legal surname, is Menzies. And it has remained like that since the day I got married at an incredibly young age of 17, with all the knowledge that a 17-year-old holds, which is back in the day not so much. And am I divorced? Yes, I am legally divorced. Got there 2007 by my own means. Was it his fault? Was it my fault? Whose doing was it? Well, it's like asking which side of the ball are you holding? I think it was everybody's fault. Contributing factors, certainly many, 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 many contributing factors. One of them that I am the way that I am, unable to conform to certain expectations. And then I keep getting asked, am I married now? Well, I'm in a committed relationship of 11 years to a man that understands me and accepts me, and the bits that he doesn't understand, he just laughs about it. And so there's no pressure. So there's that one answered. Yes, I am in a relationship. No, I'm not legally married to him. Will I reconsider marriage? It will take a miracle of note. A miracle of note. So I will never say never, because you never know what's coming in the universe. But if I had any say about it from this point of time and my previous perspective, no. Definitely not. The other question, let me just refer to all these notes here and tick them off as I go along. Where do I live? Well, I'm a South African by birth, an English-speaking South African. I was born as an Afrikaans-speaking South African, but at the age of 9, I overheard a conversation between my parents, and it changed my point of view about my pronunciation in the Afrikaans language. I've since, obviously, as an adult, discussed it with my father while he was still alive, and he asked me, well, why are you English, and why are all your children now English, and why is that? And I reminded him of that particular incident, and he frowned at me like I was this very strange alien being, and he said, I was probably just upset after work. And I thought, well, your few words changed my life. It literally took a 90-degree turn right there at the age of 9. So words became truly important to me from that point on, because I realized that they can change lives. They really can. It certainly changed mine. And there's been many moments like that where words, just a couple of words or a sentence or something, radically eradicated what was before and transformed me into a different phase of being. And since I am as hard-headed as the rest of the family, and believe you me, they are, go and try and meet all of them, and you're up for some interesting rides. So shout out there to all the burgers out there, and hard-headed bunch, but very firm. They all know who they are. And so genetically, I carry that line. But then again, I also genetically carry my mother's line, which is from the Cillier family, and they are an incredibly creative bunch. As a matter of fact, none of us ever trained for anything. We were sort of endowed by talent and blood, and it runs on my genetic line. So, and it's I can my progeny, of which there's now two generations. I'm not a great grandmother yet, but I am a grandmother, and so in my family, so my children and my grandchildren all exhibit the similar traits to me, the creative traits, and it pops up in various ways. And then, of course, uh, in my mother, obviously, who's also passed, and she was an incredible artist. She could make a flower. She could confuse a bee when she did her botanical studies and things. So I had great admiration for her as a human being. She was a very broken human being. She was bipolar and died a full-blown psychotic, and that was part of my journey with her, and traumatic, certainly. Am I still processing? Obviously. I don't think certain things get just ripped out of your soul. I think they stay there to teach you something more about yourself. The initial trauma, if I could put it like that, of both my parents' deaths within the space of a year and a half, with many other in between, including my uncle who died at the kitchen table, believe it or not, was certainly transformative. But through it all, there's always been people in my life, people who did things just because they wanted to or because they chose to. And so this has been part of my own creed since I first experienced true kindness. And it's people who basically just accepted me, warts and all, and with cracks and creases and experiences, and some good experiences, some bad experiences, and we could cry together, and we could laugh together, and we could share together, and if we could help each other. And there was never money involved. Money didn't seem to enter that equation. So that's basically what I'm doing here. This was never meant to be a platform for promoting anything. It was supposed to be a way for my scattered children all over the world to be able to reach me as a storyteller and leave a digital footprint to find me again after my passing. And as we all know, none of us know when that will be. So, if you have the time, consider the legacy you leave. It's important. What you leave is a digital footprint nowadays. Back in the day, of course, when I was a youngster, there wasn't even SMSs. There was none of the stuff that young people use now. And so if you didn't leave written work or original work somewhere, the chances were that your work would not be disseminated and spread wide enough to remain intact for those behind you. And if you were one of the people that was not promoted actively by a promotional agency of some sort, well, nobody would ever know about you, would they? It would only be the people in your actual life. And so this is where that journey started, with people in my actual life. And those people, since I'm South African, I spent most of my formative creative life years in a little town called De Rust. And it's at the end of the R29, which is, if you start and you follow it on a map, you will see it's one of the longest wine routes in South Africa. And there's a tiny little village at the foot of the Swartberg, which means Black Mountain. And there's a portal through the mountain, like a mountain pass, but it's flat, and you can drive. And it used to be a place where traditionally people from my country would cross through the mountains, because in order to cross over the mountains was almost impossible. And so there's a few of these pathways through the mountains, and there's a little stream that meanders through it called the Olifants River, I think, if I'm correct. Now, anybody, please correct me if I'm wrong. I tend to forget things as fast as I write them down. And there's little bridges that keep on covering it. And so each of those little bridges, they're flat, has a name. And each of those names have a history and a story and why they got called that. And that's a journey all by itself. So, tourist, I lived in a street called Whip Street, which means Hope Street. And I was a part owner, together with my husband at the time, of an old historic building called the Old Hostel there. And after our divorce, well, you know, the property was split up, and he lived in the boys' hostel and I lived in the girls' hostel. So, and my parents then eventually retired with me. Well, Daddy didn't, because, you know, he was at that stage in ICU and spent 2.5 months there before his death. So a lot of my creative history is linked to that building and that place, and I was nurtured there. And it taught me to be by myself, live by myself, and create by myself in order to provide for my children, which was in my custody. And the people, the actual inhabitants of the Rust, this is now from 1999 until quite recently, about 4 or 5 years ago, when I sold the property, always supported me in whatever form of craziness I was exhibiting at the time. And crazy, believe you me, it got sometimes. So there's some of those stories coming. So that's basically, I currently live in Oudtshoorn, which is about 36 kilometers away from the Rust, so just the next town up. And I seldom leave the little house that I've bought here to spend my final days in. And, well, after my Facebook experience, I simply won't be leaving the house again, ever, will I? No, I think I'll just stay here on my desk and just do what I do, which is right. And now, of course, do this, which I know nothing about. So bear with me when I make mistakes. So the calls, why don't I answer calls? Well, I've written extensively about that on Facebook. I can't somehow clone myself into 5,000 different people with 5,000 different devices. And the rate of calls coming up on my screen, yes, I see them. Yes, sometimes I close them. Yes, sometimes I just despair and I put them off because I'm used to dealing face to face. I'm not somebody who has ever really gotten comfortable with social media. And so when I decided to set out on this journey, it wasn't to become somebody on social media. It was simply to leave my thoughts for my children and my grandchildren to find, and those friends, of course. And then practice my skills, because I now have the time and space to do it and the privacy to do it in. So there's that to it. I just can't answer that many, and it's the same question over and over. So this has led to this journey right here, so I can answer some things more fully. Why don't I partake in sexual games? Oh my hat, why don't I? Well, number one, it's boring. Number two, during the last 4 weeks, I have viewed, and I will have to check the stats on that, but I can easily put it at least like 1,000 videos of people doing assorted things with their assorted bits to other people, which they wish to do to me, and state so quite clearly. I find that frankly invasive, and I find that boring. Yeah. Emotionally disconnected, you see. I've been there, done that, and been married. I know what it's all about. I know about babies. Games, romantic games, I don't play games. I just don't. And the reason for that is because I'm unable to lie. And the reason for that is, well, number one, I have a wicked sense of humor. Secondly, I'm a writer and I'll get caught out. So my books is where the fantasies live, not sexual fantasies. And in real life, anybody who cannot notice that I actually have a brain besides a mouth, and believe you me, the guys have pushed it to the limit. I've had to watch people do all sorts of things to pictures of me and them doing it to the picture and then posting it to me saying, I'd like to be your friend. Well, I think I have a choice there. So I think that answers that pretty much clearly. And no, it's not a competition about size because there's some extremely interesting sizes out there, which I'm sure somebody out there will appreciate, but it's not me. You go right ahead and find whoever you need right there where you are. Me, I'm all sorted. Thank you very much. Then I get answered. I get asked all the time. I want to know you. Can I get to know you? Well, the way that I get to know somebody is there's an initial contact, and you either make up your mind you like this person or you don't. So obviously on a disassociated platform like Facebook, where you have to express yourself via words and imagery, and sometimes sound, it can be deceptive. So heads up there onto the scanners and the scam mirrors. I have a brain. I can actually figure out patterns. So the only way you can get to know me is through my work and through these self-dialogues and now answering specific questions. So, yep, there goes another phone. Imagery versus speech. Well, I've done now some extensive experimentation on YouTube, not on YouTube, on Facebook, to see which form of communication is the most effective. Do people respond to my words? No, they don't read. That's a sad, sad truth out there, but some of them do. But the greater majority look at each day's updated profile picture, which I take right here at this desk under that lamp right there. And I've documented this several times, and I get asked the same question over and over. And then I maybe just posted about it before or so on. And so I keep having to say, why don't you read the posts that I've written? Then you will know me. You'll know my value system. You'll know my sense of humor. Look at the things. So I'm not sure how to interpret that question from my perspective. If anybody wishes to get to know me, I would suggest watch the videos, read what I've written, go and check on the platforms. All of it is true. The art I made, yes, I've made lots and lots and lots of art over the time. Do I still paint? Well, due to certain injuries to my right shoulder, it's sometimes extremely painful to lift my shoulder, so I don't at the moment do that now. Perhaps I don't say never, but no. Do I sell my art? No, I don't. I tend to give away a lot of it, or gave away a lot of it, and destroy a lot of it, an awful lot. Lovely bonfires on the sidewalks and those sort of things. But can you buy it? No, you can't buy it. It's not available. It's my personal emotional outlets and journeys, and my decision to give it to whoever I wish to give it to, or just leave it for my kids, I mean, people come into my life and go, that one is mine. I go, well, it's still on my wall. Wait till I'm dead, and then fight with the kids over it. So, simple. Then, why am I here? Well, the reason why I'm here is that I am a published writer. I've written a series of 3 books called skakerings, and that is a word in Afrikaans, and it means shades. And it was the impressions that I gained and the experiences I gained while I stayed in the Rust. I translated to a series of books, and it is about love, but it's not about erotica, and it's not about eros love. It is about art and artists and their journeys towards freedom and the interconnective people they meet along the way and how they came to be there. So if you think that I write romance novels, I don't think I quite classify. It's not quite the genre. So anybody who reads them, please tell me what the genre is. I don't know. I'll just write them. So, and then there's a second series on the go, which is in English, and it's called The Wellspring Chronicles. And this will be ongoing for an awful long time. They also, the first one, The Unicorn Letter, is up on Amazon.com. So anybody have access to Amazon can get it either in ebook or, you can download, or you can have it in softcover or hardcover, wherever you are in the world. The covers, well, the skakerings range is all The first one's called Lisa, and then there's Ella, and then it's Ria, and it tracks these interconnected relationships via art and the reasons why people do what they do. And believe you me, there's some humdingers in there. So they are also up, but the interesting thing is about that the covers was a collaboration between myself and my oldest son, William. Shout out to you, Mr. Billy Boy. And he could take the incredible craziness that's in my mind and make it into a visually appealing form, and that was approved by Amazon. The art on the covers tells a different story. Those are also paintings done by me, and they each tell a story, which is another time. And another episode. Let's not stretch your patience too much. I only took 10 questions. And how does a panda become a dragon? Well, that I will tell you in the next story, because once I was called the Panda Mom, and it was my WeChat ID, and I was in a position where I was a house mother for some Chinese international flight students that attended an academy here in Oudtshoorn, and a flight academy, and I was employed to be the house mother, the manager of the residence that they stayed in. And in this time, they're not children, they're men, but they were strangers in a strange land too. And they bonded with me, and so they used to call me the Panda Mom, because I prefer not to eat dead animals. I like vegetables, so heads up for that. And it doesn't mean I don't, it just means I prefer not to. And there's a reason for that as well. Another story, another rabbit hole. So, and then they all really wanted contact again, and we were all disseminated and spread across the globe at the end of 2020 when the company was disbanded and we were all retrenched, whoever worked for the company. And I didn't work for the actual flight academy. I worked for a different company that supplied accommodation to the flight company. And that particular company was rather hard hit by the financial constraints of the COVID situation. And so we were all retrenched. And so they went there and I stayed here. And since then, well, it's been a long journey. And the day that I figured out how to do a YouTube video and rent it like a mad thing on it, well, that was the day that, and I could reach out to them and send them a picture to say, guess what? The panda can fly now too. So, and since they were all pilots, it was a private moment between us. But there's many stories there, so I won't test your patience there. So for this episode, not sure if the next ones are going to be that long. I'm going to try and keep them much shorter than this. But since this is an intro, a little bit more time and some of the basic questions. So this is me, Manda, writer, South African, and now completely crazy and insane, trying to navigate her ways through the modern media and answer questions for 5,000 plus people around the world who I didn't know. And this is a shout out to you guys, and of course to all the dear people of the Klein Karoo that have shaped me and supported me. Bless you all. You have yourself a lovely evening. I'll see you down the rabbit hole next time.